I got 3 hacks or tips for you today on running a pot call. The first involves the use of chalk. Now, normally when you have a pot call, you're going to condition the surface, which means scratching at it somehow, another way. You're going to scratch at it and remove material to create an uneven surface so that your striker will slip across. Now, doing that makes the call sound right, but you're also wearing away the surface of the call. And if you do that enough, and people have favorite pot calls, and this happens with them, they'll wear a hole in the call. And then you've got to track down somebody that can replace it. And hopefully the fellow that's made it is still making calls and can fix it for you. Well, to avoid that, condition your call as normally, but then apply chalk. Now what this does is it sort of lubricates and allows slippage, the same as conditioning it does, but it provides a barrier so that you're depositing chalk on the tip of your striker instead of the metal. And it sounds about normal. So that works well enough, and it saves your pot call. It reduces your conditioning quite a lot. I won't, this is one of my favorite calls, and I'll condition it maybe twice this turkey season. But I'll use chalk quite often. Now here's another hack, a tip, to get another use out of this call. You've got a surface on the front, you've got a surface on the back. Well, wait a second, that's not the calling surface. Well, it is. Because there is a ring of wood here, the pedestal. And the wood is thinner here, thicker here, thinner there. Does that sound like a yelp? Yep. Well, it is. So what you're going to do is chalk the back of your call. And this works on most of them. Chalk the back of your call and play it here about the same as you would play it here. It'll yelp. There's little soft calls you'd want to do that are sometimes hard to tone down. And I think this wood sounds a little more realistic on the soft stuff. It's not quite as bright as your harder surfaces. So it'll play on both sides. You get an extra call out of it. You can do your soft calling if you're somebody that likes to talk to a bird on a tree, such like that. And you get an extra use out of your call. So those are 2 tips or hacks you can do with chalk. Now the third one is a little more subtle. It involves these gloves. Now, the thing about these calls is they have to vibrate to work. This needs to vibrate, and this especially needs to vibrate. And if you're using gloves, it insulates it and cuts down on the vibration, especially with this one. I don't know if everybody realizes this, but this is a huge deal in the call. The vibration of the striker is a big deal in how your call sounds. Now, it is a big deal in how your call sounds, but that little bit of insulation is not a huge deal. But it makes a little difference in the character of your call. It takes away a little bit of extra realism. And if you're somebody who's a little bit limited in their ability, like I am, every little bit of extra realism you can get, you better hold on to it. Don't give it up. So in order to deal with using and not using the gloves, it becomes a bit of strategy. Basically, when a turkey starts coming, you don't call anymore. You don't need the gloves on your hands when you're calling because you're not calling to a bird that's in sight. If the bird's in sight and he's not close enough to shoot, you really messed up. If he's in sight and he is close enough to shoot, you better hurry up and kill him. So the gloves will be on when it's time to shoot, but they're not going to be on when it's time to call because those are different times. So call to your bird, get him coming to your spot, put the call down, put the gloves on, get the gun up, time to go. So that's how you handle whether or not you're going to have gloves on when you're running the call, which is to say you're not. So those are 3. Use the chalk on the front, use the chalk on the back, and then your third and final tip is don't wear gloves. because it reduces the realism of your call. Well, that was the Dirt Road Grocery Store. We appreciate you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. From the sunny side.